What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So a little bit of GeForce Now updates for you. I did promise you guys I would stay on top of these stories, and since we do have updates, a couple days old on the updates, but it's been a very busy weekend, so Monday's the first chance I got to sit down and do this. But we have some positive news about EA, and then we've got some more news and transparency about the frame rate caps that we've been talking about. So let me go over that stuff with you here as quickly as I can and kind of let you guys hit up those comments and let me know what you think. So starting with the better news, the EA news, right? The why do I get the message too many computers have accessed this account when trying to play Electronic Arts games on GeForce Now? And most people should already know with Origin, when you launch into a game, you get 2 logins. On your third login, you would normally get logged out. This has happened to me on local PCs many times when I've got 3 or 4 PCs that I'm testing a game on, log in and out, and I wind up getting locked out. So this was zero surprise when it happened on GeForce Now, because of course you were going to get locked out if you log off and log in, log off, log in. You're different VMs, so you're accessing from different computers. So no surprise that this was an issue, but let me read this here. Nvidia and Electronic Arts have been working together to address the issue that some users are seeing too many computers have access to this account when launching Electronic Arts games on GeForce Now. Our fix has been released for all games, and most users should no longer see this message, or it should be very infrequent. Please send in-app feedback in the GeForce Now app if you continue to see this message. We strive to give our players the best experience possible and apologize for any disruption this may have caused. So this was really great. They really got out in front of this issue. There was a ton of backlash about this, as there should be. This should have been foreseen, and EA shouldn't have been brought on as a partner, and we shouldn't have had all the hype about that until this was fixed. But whatever, that's in the background. They have implemented a fix, and if you guys are having any issues, please send feedback in the app. Make sure you let them know, because they are actively working on this, but it sounds like for the most part they've got this fixed. So great news for EA games on GeForce Now, and I hope that means we start seeing the flow of EA games start coming to the service, because they have a ton that they can bring, and I have a hunch they haven't because of this issue. And it makes sense if they got a lot of backlash over this, and you wouldn't continue to bring games if people were going to be like, well, I can't log in, right? So hopefully this will solve that. Good news there. So let's move over to the frame rate capping. All right, now this has been some big talk for about a week and a half now. Even though this started a year ago, it's only really been gaining traction since the RTX 3080 came out. People like me have been digging more, testing old games that we left behind and haven't played on the service. All kinds of things have brought a lot of this out to the service. I'm going to read this and then we'll talk a little bit. GeForce Now's default settings are fine-tuned to optimize game performance, graphics, streaming quality for different membership types based on the cloud gaming rigs they connect to. These default settings are called optimal playable settings, or OPS. In most games, priority members are able to override the default OPS with custom settings on a session-by-session basis. For our priority members, the maximum frames rendered per second is generally set to 60 for most of the 1,100 plus games that we've onboarded so far. There are some exceptions that we determine do not run well enough at 60 FPS on the GPUs used by priority members. So the default OPS for these specific games, graphics-intensive games, cannot be overridden. This is to ensure all priority members are running a consistent, high-quality experience. However, we do continue to stream the games at 60 FPS. The graphics-intensive games are listed below with their default OPS and the date they were added. So they took Guardians of the Galaxy off of here. It doesn't seem to have the cap anymore, but we've got these 12 games right here with Dauntless, Immortals, Cyberpunk 2077, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Jurassic World Evolution, Dyson Sphere Program, Valheim, Path of Exile, Outriders, Kenshi Biomutant, and Dying Light. Now, not surprisingly, these games are not just GPU intensive. These games also can get quite CPU intensive, and that's more what's going on. And I'm going to use Cyberpunk 2077 as my main example because it's a game I've tested the most, and I have videos up on the channel last year showing it running so well on the 2080D priority rig, and then versus today, even at the 45, just not going to be running the same as it was when it first launched. So just using that game as my example, I get what they're saying about the settings, and I understand this being their platform, being in the cloud. Even though these are PC games, there may be times that to offer the best experience, because let's face it, not everybody that is getting into GeForce Now is computer savvy or into the PC games as much as a lot of us are. So they may not understand a lot about these settings. They should go learn, and they should be able to do all this on their own. But with that in mind, I guess they feel like they need to be able to cap some of these games and make these settings unchangeable. So like if you go in Cyberpunk 2077, you can change those settings all you want. Changes nothing. You can't even use DLSS. You can't do anything, which is a real shame, because my point here isn't just about the optimized settings, right? or going into new games where they're running into issues on the older rigs. So they're like, okay, we need to do something here because people could really wind up into a problem. I kind of get some of that. Now, I'm against frame rate caps and locking settings across the board, no matter what. So let's just get that straight. I still think you should be able to jump into any of these games, drop them down to the lowest setting if you want to, play at 60 or above. This should all be player choice. But with that in mind, if we're moving forward and newer games have an issue, I kind of understand that. My issue is games that didn't have an issue, okay? And going back to Cyberpunk 2077 and using that as my example, that game supported DLSS and ray tracing and everything at launch, right? That game gave you could play that game at 60 FPS or higher with no problem. You could lock it down. I mean, I have videos showing all this kind of stuff. So my real issue from a consumer standpoint, who was already paying a certain price for priority, watching performance get nerfed and pulled back and made worse than it was at launch of a game or when I was playing priority before is the big issue to me. Of course, they can do whatever they want with their platform. I'm going to stay very, very unbiased here, as I always do on my channel. You guys know if you watch the channel, I love GeForce now. It's one of my top cloud gaming platforms that I use. It supports my PC gaming. I recommend it to anyone who wants to jump into cloud and especially have access to a lot of their PC games. It's a fantastic service. But this stuff about nerfing CPU performance, taking performance away that we used to have, is a big issue to me. Moving forward, capping games and locking settings will continue to be an issue to me. However, I do understand it. I do it on my own local hardware. When new games come out and you've got hardware that's a few years old, you sometimes need to do something and lock yourself down, and I kind of get that. But with games that already performed so well at 60 or above and then they take that away, that's where I wind up with more of an issue. So this is kind of a explanation right here. I don't 100% take it for what it says because it's not 100% true. They aren't just locking these games down because they found they're not running at 60 or Cyberpunk doesn't run at 60. It used to. They changed the parameters of what the VM is capable of, therefore changes what the game can do. But that's just my take on it there. Now moving forward, this is only 12 games, right? It's not a big deal right now, but it could become a big deal later if it happens too often, and I just don't like it in general. So that's pretty much my take on it. We're going to keep an eye on it. I'm not going to keep harping on it and making more videos on it, but I did want to talk about it a little bit and give my take one last time that I do think it's garbage. I think it's crap, and taking performance away is crap. Locking settings is crap. Capping frame rates is crap. It's all crap. But it's their platform and they can do what they want with it. And for the most part, I won't complain except for when I notice performance has been taken away, which we won't notice again in new games because now the performance is what it is. But for those of us who were there last year testing, we know that performance was taken away on the priority tier and that these caps and things that are being implemented are probably more to deal with their own creation of taking away performance than it is anything else. And that's where I'm going to stand on it. All right, guys, definitely let me know what you think in the comments down below. Like I said, unless there's major changes, I'm not going to keep harping on this and creating more content on it. I'm going to move forward. I'm going to continue enjoying the service and testing out priority in the RTX 3080. I'm going to continue recommending it. And I still love GeForce now. I still love Nvidia and what they have to offer here, but I just think that some of this stuff here is a little bit garbage. All right, guys, thanks a lot for coming to watch. As always, I really appreciate it. If you haven't already, subscribe, thumbs up, ring the bell, and leave me your comments below. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next one.